Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I'll tell you what, we all have heard so many millions of stories about a multi-billion-dollar industry that I think it's safe to say most people are very unhappy about, and that is the online dating world. And so that's why today's entrepreneur, I think, is doing incredible work. This is a pioneer. You're going to see, not only is he a pioneer when it comes to the world of online dating and bringing it into a new era that actually connects people in real life, but you're going to see that this is someone who for a very long time has been at the cutting edge of technology to move the world forward, move society forward, move the way that technology brings people together forward. And this is someone who's got a ton of skills. All the research I did about him, so many people just rave about the fact that he sees opportunities and builds solutions that help people. So let me tell you all about today's guest. His name is Scott Demyon. Scott co-founded one of the first mobile dating and chat sites that pioneered mobile dating in the US market all the way back, way earlier than a lot of us think about this industry, in early 2005. Phone Fling and Phone Shag grew rapidly, reaching 42 million monthly unique page views solely from feature phone traffic. And that was, if you want to talk about solving complex problems, this was 3 years before smartphones even existed. The core two-way opt-in matching system was later demoed to Jonathan Badin in 2009, who went on to co-found Tinder in 2012 utilizing the same algorithm. Scott soon realized the architecture of interacting electronically was causing many negative effects to our dating culture. Yes, we all see this. Just turn on the mainstream news and you'll see that online dating and mobile dating apps have a lot of controversies around them. So he created Swerve in response to it. We're going to hear a lot about Swerve, and I'm going to tell you the way that Scott is thinking about all the ingredients that create successful connections in real life are present in Swerve. I'm excited to learn from Scott and the way that his business mind works and the way that he's building Swerve. So I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Scott Demyon. All right, Scott, I'm so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I'm happy to be here.
Heck yes. So you have got such an incredible background, Scott. Honestly, the more I dug into not only what you're up to now with Swerve, but all the things you've done in your career, you've got skills, you've got vision, you're amazing at bringing them to the world. So you've got to take us beyond the bio. Who's Scott? How'd you start doing all these amazing things?
Yeah, so we actually stumbled into the industry back in 2004. It was that, going back to that time period of flip phones where there was barely even a mobile internet at that time. Specifically, it was the week that, you could send a text message to your friends, but all of a sudden you could send an MMS picture message. So an idea kind of popped in my head, and we were looking for a new idea to build for like months. And all of a sudden I was just like, wouldn't it be cool if randomly throughout the day you got a picture of somebody in your area that you might be interested in? And if you were interested and you reply to the message, we would send your picture to that person's phone. They had the same interaction. If they're interested and they replied, you had a connection, you could start chatting. It was a new way to kind of engage and meet people, using this new mobile technology, mobile internet. So we built that out, and it took off like crazy. And back then, there wasn't a lot of competition. There was nowhere to go on these little mobile enabled phones. So it grew fairly quickly, and had some pretty good success with it. Like in my bio, we ended up demoing it to one of the co-founders of Tinder. There's a little controversy over how much influence we had with the creation of Tinder, but we demoed that platform, and along comes Tinder that has a similar interaction where if you both swipe right, you have that connection, you could start chatting. That's kind of how I got into this industry, and ever since I've just been hooked on just examining that social interaction that happens over mobile technology, and that's what's led me to create Swerve in response to the negative effects that technology has taken on our dating culture.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool overview because it shows that even when technology couldn't do the things that it could do today, you were already thinking about ways to just bring people together. And even as simple as the illustration you just gave us of MMS messages, those were those are revolutionary at the time, Scott. We were all typing it. Remember T9? Most people who grew up today, most kids don't know what that is.
To type an S, you had to hit, I think 4 times. Text messaging back then was your mind had to be sharp to get those words out.
It's funny. We were quick, though. We knew exactly what number to press and how many times to press it. So we all learned. Yeah. But what I think is really cool is that you not only focused on the technology of those days, but really the thread throughout your entire career is how do we bring people together regardless of what the technology enables? Now, obviously, it enables so much more. Scott, there's multi-billion-dollar companies and brands trying to solve this problem. Talk to us about that gap in the marketplace, that opportunity that you looked at and you said, no one's happy with these solutions. Let's do things better.
Yeah, and I think the answer to this, we're humans. We evolved to have that in-person connection. There's so many cues that happen in person with body language, personality, emotion that we're not getting through electronic interaction that these dating apps facilitate. So that's kind of what led me to see these problems. Years ago, I think 2016, I had a roommate and she would go out and she'd match with somebody and get so excited. And I wouldn't hear the end of this person for like a week until she went and met him. And all of a sudden, just nothing. And I was like, well, I'd hear from her like, they're just not the same as what I envisioned, and I think what we do is naturally we're just filling in those gaps that those social cues, that are missing, we fill them in. And you build up this persona of the person that you're interacting with. And when you go meet them in person, they're just not exactly who you thought or expected them to be. So that's kind of how I started creating Swerve. I said, look, there must be a better way to connect people using mobile technology. We have these supercomputers in our pocket, and there's a better architecture here to connect people. And then that's where, Swerve takes a drastic turn. And I know there's a million dating apps out there right now, but they all follow the same broken architecture where they match you, but then you're, as an end user, you're supposed to interact with this potential match electronically and, over text message or various means of electronic communication. And that's the problem that I see. And that's what I wanted to create Swerve in response to. So with Swerve, the big difference here is, I do the same, tell me about yourself, what you're looking for physically, socially. And that's where the turn, the change comes in. Instead of matching you up or just serving you up endless profiles for you to passively swipe through while you're sitting on your couch, I don't want that interaction. So what I do is all of the people that match with what you're looking for, I'm plotting them on a map anonymously by default so that you can decide the better places to go for a higher chance of bumping into those people organically while you're already out. So say you're heading out on a Friday night and, we all do this inherently. You're kind of going out shooting in the dark, right? You're going to go maybe to a bar, or club, or restaurant, and you're hoping that somebody's going to be there that matches with what you're looking for. But what if you could see, hey, that bar has 4 potential matches for me, but the bar or restaurant across the street has 23 potential matches that match with what you're looking for. So now you change your plans or swerve your plans to that bar across the street, and you just have a higher chance of bumping into the person that you want to meet organically. So that's kind of the where Swerve is completely different than everything that's out there so far.
Yeah, I really appreciate that overview and the way that you've thought about this, because it actually sounds to me like you're thinking of it in reverse of how most other dating apps work is, the Bumbles, the Hinges, you name it, of the world. They all focus on our dating app is the platform through which these connections happen. You're thinking like a real life person who goes out into the world. You go grocery shopping, you go to bars, you go to coffee shops, and you think of it first and foremost as those real life geographic locations and then build a solution onto it. So I really appreciate appreciate that, Scott. And it begs the question, I'm obviously going to throw a little bit of shade at traditional dating apps here in today's episode, because the one thing that's always stood out to me as a business person is that they say, we've designed this app for you to delete it. And that is amidst the fact that they charge you these exorbitant monthly fees, and they keep people on there. They hide matches. They don't bring you the people that you're best suited for. Scott, please, as someone who's been in this industry for a long time, talk to us about the realities of this marketplace and how Swerve's doing it a bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember these are big, corporations. They have boards to please, and they are not designed to be deleted. If you think about it, they have the ability to match you up with the right people, yet you're still swiping through just general, a long list, an endless supply of people. And that's where their model steps in, is they need that endless supply. They want you sitting there swiping, endlessly all day, as much as possible. The more you're interacting in that platform, the more potential money they're making through ads or through you wanting, getting frustrated and wanting a premium subscription. With Swerve, that's not my goal. I'm not a big company. I've built this to make a difference, to give people more value that actually works for them. So my platform, you don't need a premium subscription. You can go match and see where those people are. I do have a platinum membership that's, very cheap compared to the other ones, but they just give you extra perks. So it's not really required. And it helps me keep my server lights on at this point. So, my goal, my vision is to just provide a platform that is actually useful and doesn't waste your time. You're not using this to passively find people. You're using it while you go out, and that's the beauty of it, is it's trying to encourage that social interaction again. And all the other mainstream apps, they're designed for you to be antisocial, sit on your couch and browse through. Just like general social media has made us less social, dating, traditional dating platforms have made us less, that dating culture has been destroyed. And that's where I'm really trying to hone in and solve these problems that all of these major platforms have created for our dating culture.
Yeah, it's fun to hear your thoughts in real time here on the air together, because it just sounds to me like you've thought about all the different aspects of it, hearing the way you talk about the real life locations and hearing the way that people are sitting on their couch swiping through dating apps. That's not bringing them any closer to their person. And so with that in mind, one thing that really stood out to me the more that I researched Swerve is that you've thought about the things that aren't even as sexy to talk about with regards to safety, background location, your phone's access to your personal data. Talk to us about those considerations, Scott, because I know you've been in the tech world for a long time, and I would imagine that your foresight and vision there allows you to even answer questions that most end users probably don't even think about when they sign up for something.
Yeah, so safety is a huge thing, right? Swerve is location based, and there's an inherent stigma of, is it tracking me, or will I be tracked through the platform? And all of these things I've extensively thought through, and put in mechanisms to ensure your safety. So by default, you are anonymous, right? So when you go online, you're just shown as an anonymous pin. And people can see why you match with what they're looking for. They can't identify you. They can't go find you wherever you are. Your location is not updated in real time. It's every 5 minutes by default, and you can adjust those time intervals. So it's showing your general location, and the goal is to get people to the right places, right? If you're a good match for somebody, you want to find them, they want to find you, right? So keeping you anonymous by default allows you to control your privacy and control, that aspect of a location-based platform. You can show and hide your photos if you do want to be recognized. Say you're sitting at the bar and you want to be recognized. You have the ability to make yourself recognizable, or so people can come find you or recognize you. Other aspects, if you don't want to be online, so you go out on a Friday night, I encourage people to set up what I call our privacy areas, and they're essentially a geofence around any location, and you can change the size, the location of these geofenced areas. And what happens is if you forget to go offline, or say you're going home from the bar and you forget, the platform will automatically remove you from being online as soon as you enter in one of those areas. So you set a radius a couple miles around your home. As soon as you enter in that radius, you're offline. You're not visible to anybody else. Movement detection. So the platform will automatically detect if you start walking from your current location or you get in an Uber. Same thing. All of your updates, all of your location goes on pause until you get to your destination, and stay there for a few minutes. So if you're walking down the street, you're not going to be shown until you get to that next place or wherever you're going. So a lot of these things have been put into place to make sure that nobody can follow you, nobody can track you. I've extensively user tested these with large groups of people and said, hey, try to track this person, and you can't do it on the platform. If you're in person at a bar with somebody, it would be a lot easier to just follow them than track them through the platform. So it's not an easy task, and I definitely, that's part of my marketing to educate people about, hey, this is how it works, and these are the things that are happening behind the scenes that protect you.
Yeah,
and those are just a few.
I love hearing those insights, Scott, because again, those are things that I don't think most of us would think about. Obviously, you have the benefit of real life users that you can hear their concerns and you can address those. But I wonder where that comes from for you, because you have such a technical background, because you also have that strategic and that business mindset. How do you explain what you're doing with Swerve to people? Is it a tech company? Is it a people and social interaction company? Walk us through the way that your mind works, because I know that you really have both of those sides of the coin at your disposal in the way that you make decisions as a business owner.
Yeah, the way I describe it is, I like to be visionary with the technologies that I build. I think back in 2005, we were ahead of our time with phone fling, and you see how that evolved into Tinder. And with Swerve, I also think I'm a little ahead of my time, but I think people are ready for, this, to go back to in-person interactions. That's a big trend I'm seeing on social media, that people want to go back to meeting in the wild. And this is how dating, we've evolved to date, was to go meet people and interact with them. Within seconds if there's chemistry with somebody, when you meet them in person or organically. And that's kind of what I've been trying to capture with Swerve is, hey, how can I help you go back to that? Help everybody go back to that, to have those in-person encounters, get you to the right places. Swerve can't guarantee if you get to that bar with 23 people that you're going to, actually meet one of them, but your chances of crossing paths are higher, whether that's at a restaurant, maybe a grocery store that you're visiting, and if you get to the right places and have those ability to meet, people that match your what you're looking for, that's the advantage that I'm after. And I am actually creating new interactions. So say you're at a bar, you'd be able to invite a couple matches to come meet you and come find you. And with ultra wideband on the newer phones, what I could do is almost like a hot or cold on your device. So you can see whether you're getting closer or further away. I could even potentially do like a Pokemon Go to find your matches at the venue that you're at. So all of these things are in development, and I'm working on. But I want to create just new, unique, creative ways that can connect people, that help them meet new people and get out there and have those in-person connections again.
Yeah, hearing this, Scott, honestly, I'm thinking about all the ingredients of your business. Gamification, it's something that we haven't explicitly talked about, but really underneath all these things we're talking about is you're looking to make it fun again, which, gosh, the existing apps have taken so much of the fun out of dating, out of meeting people. I would argue that social media and headphones and a lot of other things have also taken away the fun of meeting people organically, and that's coming from an extreme extrovert like myself. So huge kudos to you, Scott. And it begs the question, though. You say that the market is ready. What's that market penetration plan look like? Because if I could snap my fingers, I wish every single fellow millennial of me would have this app starting today. So I'd love to hear some of those growth plans from your end.
Yeah, I mean, largely, social media reach is what I'm after. I'm actually on the hunt for a good co-founder that can market this in a better way. I'm good with the product and the platform, but marketing is not necessarily my specialty. But I think when people learn what Swerve does, that light bulb goes off. Everybody I've told the idea to is like, oh my God, that's genius! Like, even to the point where I've wanted to give up so many times. And I went to an Airbnb in Cape Cod one winter, and we were sitting around a fire with another couple, and they were like, "No, you have to keep building that. Like, the world needs that. Like, please keep pushing." And little things like that have kept me going. Through I think the 8 years I've been building this platform, and I won't give up. I really do believe in the vision. I believe that this is a new fun way to meet new people, and I think it's a better way to utilize the technology than trying to interact electronically. And I think so many people are just frustrated with the platforms that are out there that they don't work. You get ghosted. There's fake profiles. There's things that I've seen because I build this stuff that are actually scary to me. With all the AI bots and AI taking hold, you got to imagine you don't really know who's on the other end of that profile. And when I research all these big platforms, what I see, and this is the scary part, is what they're starting to do is they'll connect with you, they'll match with you, right, on Tinder, Hinge. And what's happening in that scenario? You are in a vulnerable place where you're trying to get to know and build trust and build connection with this unknown entity on the other end. And if that unknown entity isn't the person that's in those pictures, say this is some nefarious entity that's what they're doing is they're extracting your personal information. So they're learning about you. And think about unlimited AI bots. They can now connect with you on endless profiles. So you're swiping, you think you're matching with all these attractive people. They are now extracting personal information about you, where you grew up, what pet you have, and they can tailor the future conversations, future profiles that you match with to say, hey, I have an English bulldog as well. And now they're going to build trust quicker with you. They're going to extract more personal information from you. Now they're going to be able to go hack your bank account, your social media accounts, your email accounts, because they learn that information. The 3 questions that you have to answer to reset your password. They'll target that information when you're interacting with them. And that's the scary part that I think people don't even realize is happening behind the scenes right now. And I think that's going to get worse the more AI takes hold. So that's going to create a big trust issue with these traditional platforms where you really have no idea who's on the other end or what is on the other end of that profile.
Yeah, Scott, dare I say, I mean, hearing you talk about these concerns, it almost sounds to me like Swerve is, at least from what I know, obviously I don't have my finger on the pulse of the entire market, but it sounds to me like you are truly the AI-proof dating network, because you can't... Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Like when, if you go expecting to see like match 1, 2, or 3 or whatever, like if they put fake pictures, if they put fake information, you're just not going to meet them. They're only hurting themselves. So it takes away all the incentive for people to lie or put fake profiles, fake pictures. If they're not there, you're going about your night anyway. So it's not wasting your time, And I also, it's not designed to keep you hooked and addicted and swiping. You're using this more as a tool to get you to the right places, rather than something that's designed to keep your attention and keep you addicted, sitting there swiping, hoping for that positive outcome. It's really a change on this whole architecture. And, going into this, I wanted to reinvent the dating app wheel and go back and build something that fixes all of these pitfalls that traditional platforms have.
Yeah, Scott, I'll tell you what, it kind of makes me selfishly want to ask you this next question, because in the world of business, we have so many conversations here on this show about the positive impacts of AI. And I'll say that when I look at the landscape of your industry, I see some weird business models out there, whether we're talking about AI generative art and the things that people are doing with that in your space, or AI messaging. There's so many different ways that AI is impacting the dating world. What are some of the positive use cases? Do you see AI in positive ways playing a role in all of this?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of ideas. AI has definitely, spurred my creativity. I'm working with a company or in the process of partnering. So, if you think about when you go on a dating platform and you tell about yourself, you have a certain bias, right? You want to market yourself in a positive way. And what I'm looking at is potentially having AI go in and look at your social interactions. And I'm still evaluating whether I want to do this yet, but it will go and try to gauge and create templates on your personality, right? What things do you like? What do you like on Facebook? What are the restaurants you go to? And kind of create a persona that all happens behind the scenes, but then allows it to connect you with like-minded people. More than what you can potentially fill out and enter in for your profile, but more of a like an AI matching system that goes in and tries to not have that bias. It's just going and it's going to match you with the people that it thinks you would be a good connection for. So that's one thing I'm looking into. Another aspect was, this is one I'm kind of dreaming up, is imagine if I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but imagine if you could go on screen and the AI creates kind of a visual representation of who you might be attracted to. And you sit there and interact with this avatar or this AI being. It's asking you questions to learn your personality, learn all the things about you that it needs to create that persona directly. But then it could even morph its physical appearance and gauge your reaction, gauge how you answer questions to really learn what you're physically attracted to. And, by doing that, it can create, this whole system behind the scenes that, has the ability to tap into the other people, physically, socially, that you might be interested in. So those are other things that I'm exploring in the background.
Yeah, Scott, I'll tell you what, I tease you as a pioneer and a visionary CEO of this company, and it's really cool to hear in real time just some of your thoughts, which I think it's something that is typical for all of us entrepreneurs, is we have no shortage of ideas. Let me ask you this, because obviously from a technical perspective, you're already in the Apple App Store, you're already in the Android App Store, you've got a lot of cool things going on. How do you personally prioritize since you have no shortage of ideas? What are the things that on your whiteboard you say, hey, let's do this, let's shelve this, let's just ideate on this? I'd love to hear how you organize some of those thoughts.
Yeah, I think, right now my biggest thing is just getting it off the ground. I've been targeting, Southern California area. So a lot of my time has been going into, new strategies on that user acquisition. And with any platform like this, you need people on there to have that interaction, to have that positive outcome, that positive feedback from people. So that's my highest priority. In any of my spare time, I'm always brainstorming new things, new features. I have a whole, one of the features that popped in my head was, what if, and it all stems from being able to foresee what a venue looks like, right? So I have this feature set that's already built in, called feeds. And what a feed is anybody can create a feed around a business. Say there's certain bars that you go to, you can create a feed around those bars. And once that feed is created, anybody can subscribe or follow that feed. So say you have bar XYZ down the street, you create a feed around it and you can follow it. And anybody that goes to that bar can follow that feed. Now, the trick here is you, as a user, you have to be inside that geofenced area of that feed to be able to post a picture or post content to that feed. So what this is doing is, say a Friday night, you want to look at how that bar looks like. You can pull it up and that the pictures that are taken were posted from people that are physically there, and even having the ability to view the profile of maybe it's a match that's there. So now not only can you see pictures and see how it looks, you can see the potential matches that are there as well. So it's all designed to guide you to those places where you you have that better chance and of meeting somebody that you're interested in. So, I'm always creating these features and testing them out and, just seeing the adoption of them.
Scott, all of these things have one common thread, though, and that is you're solving big problems in a massively huge industry that touches all of our lives. Anyone who's not married, we're all on the hunt, always, no matter where it is that we go, and you're solving these real life problems. So I so appreciate the work that you're doing, but I also know that big problems require big solutions, and big solutions sometimes require big resources. From an entrepreneurial perspective, it's fun to me in these conversations to just talk business owner to business owner. The investment route is something that I know that there are investors on your horizon. What about that model appeals to you? What is something that you know that will accelerate your progress there? I'm super curious to get inside your mind when it comes to the investment route.
Yeah, I've gone down that road a little bit, and I think every investor at this point is, they're afraid of dating platforms, right? There's a million of them out there, and they're very difficult to get off the ground. And that's the big hurdle, right? I am actively seeking investment. I think, I could get this off the ground, with not a big amount of investment. Just the advertising I've done has been very effective. People are very receptive to this, this innovation in this industry. So it's not a matter of needing a ton of money, but I think, the more money that I can market and advertise, the more that's going to draw people in, and the more people that are on the platform, the more it takes off, right? In my first 100 users, I had somebody upgrade to the platinum membership. They're seeing the value of the platform, and even though there wasn't anybody else on the platform, they still wanted to, upgrade and get that membership. So all of my metrics, all of my traction look really great. It's just a matter of the more people we bring in, the more money it's going to generate, and that's that is the end goal of every business. But I'm not. That's not my priority. My priority is to get something out there that people use, and just like with Phone Fling, I love that aspect of creating something that people utilize and find value in. And we used to get emails of people saying, "Hey, I met my significant other. We're having a baby. Thanks. Thank you to you guys for connecting us." And that's my biggest reward is creating something that people get that value from, and something that's new and innovative as well.
Yeah, I love hearing it. Scott, you brought the word up, and I'm a big fan of just going down these rabbit holes when new topics arise. You talked about metrics. What sort of metrics do you have your eyes on? Because I'm personally very much rooting for your market penetration. So what's the path there? What are those metrics that guide those decisions?
Yeah, I think, the nice part of, and I kind of had a back and forth with the co-founder of Tinder, and, he, in my mind, kind of acknowledged the idea, that he looked into this in 2015, but he's like, look, I wouldn't attempt this without the network of Tinder behind me. And where I disagree with that is the market already exists. I don't need to create the market. I just need to get that brand awareness out there. Everybody that learns about Swerve and learns what it's doing, just loves that, loves that innovative aspect of it. All the single people, all the people leaving dating apps, they're tired of that same old model that doesn't work. And, Swerve is something new and different. I just have to capture their attention. So that's my goal is to get those numbers up, get that awareness up. And yeah, I think, once I am able to draw more people into the platform, it's, that snowball is just going to start rolling on its own, and it's going to take off. My marketing is focused on, like I said, the Southern California area, but I'm actively seeing people all over the country signing in and logging on, and that's a good sign. Word of mouth is spreading. People are telling their friends, and that's great for any business to see that growth, without even making that effort to get in those areas. So it's just a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, you brought the word up, and I think that it's especially relevant for your business, which is the snowball effect. I would imagine it's extraordinarily strong because the more people that are on Swerve, it's actually a rare case where your users are incentivized for even more people to be on there. So they will naturally become ambassadors for Swerve and all the great things that you're up to. So yes, revolutionizing an industry that is ripe for the picking. Huge kudos to you, Scott.
I've even had users reach out asking to be investors. They believe in it. They see the potential, and that keeps me pushing as well. Seeing that feedback and that adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just a testament to the great work that you're doing. And I think that what's been on huge display here during this episode is the way that you think about these things through a place of service. And of course, at the root of what you're doing with Swerve is genuine connection. And I think that's something that we're all begging for more and more here at the end of 2024, and especially going into 2025. So you're doing important work, Scott. And I love asking this question at the end of every episode because I have no idea what direction you're going to take it in. And that is your best piece of advice. You are in the trenches. You've been doing this work for so long. You are a pioneer and a visionary in so many different ways. Knowing that listeners are tuning in at all different stages of their own business growth, what's that one piece of knowledge that you want to impart on them?
Yeah, and I know this is a common thing with founders, and it's I have days where nothing happens, and as much as I try to push and grind, you're gonna have those days where it's gonna feel like a standstill, and you're gonna want to push in some other direction, and you have to just be patient and realize that those days are gonna happen. Those frustrating times are gonna happen. And like I said, so many times I've wanted to give up on this. I'm like, why am I still doing this? And it's just taken the right amount of time to evolve the platform and so many different things. And like I sail, obviously, and it's just a matter of finding the right wind to keep you moving forward. And I think you just have to be patient sometimes and wait for that next gust of wind to take you and get you to the next step. So it's the biggest thing I would say is through my learning is just be patient, and if you believe in your vision, keep pushing and keep going until you get to the place that you need to be.
Yes, great advice for every single one of us. Scott, I know that a part of you is speaking to yourself there. It's resonating deeply with me. And I think it's advice that not only do we need to hear once, but it's a constant reminder. So hugely appreciative of you sharing your message, your insights, your really just hearing your thought process in real time as an executive, as someone who's pushing an important business forward. I'm so appreciative of that. So you've got to drop some links on us, Scott. I know that myself and the entire Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur community worldwide, we're all rooting for Swerve from this point. I personally am excited to introduce you to some people who I know will be big ambassadors en route of your mission. So drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
Yeah, I mean, just checking it out in the App Store, Swerve. So it's Swerve without the E, so SWERV. Swerve Dating on the App Stores. I just revamped my website, swervedating.com, and that's really all I have so far. Like I said, I'm not a big company. I'm just one person trying to change the world at this point, and hoping for the best.
Yes, amen to that. Listeners, you already know we are making it as easy as possible for you to find Swerve online and in the app stores. Check out the links in the show notes down below. No matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode, we'll link directly to Scott's website at swervedating.com. That's SWERV dating.com. Super easy to remember, but you can click right on through from the show notes. We're also linking directly to his links in the app store, so definitely go check those out. Otherwise, Scott, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you as well, Brian.